All right, welcome in. Who came in here because you were cold from the covered arena in the first session? Nice, Dave. I appreciate one being honest up here.
Josh, I was coming anyway.
Nice.
Not at the arena.
All right, who heard Kim's talk this morning when she got us started this morning? Great. And then who also was in Terry's, I'm tired, I want to go home? Y'all are on a little bit of a path of a journey, aren't you, right? Because Kim talked about not being able to do it all yourself. Terry talked about, being tired and wanting to go home. And now you're here talking about burnout, right? But really, the focus is not as much burnout as it is working smart with the right people. Yes, that's right. So let me introduce myself. My name is Josh Northington. I was at this event on day 4 of my job at Hope Reigns last year. Kim told me before I got hired, she's like, yep, first week if you start, they're coming up to Virginia with us. And so I did celebrate my 1-year anniversary at Hope Reigns a little bit earlier this week, and excited to be here. Thank you, appreciate that. So excited to be here, and yes, this is my first presentation at an EC conference. So all grace that you are willing to extend to me would be wonderful. I would really appreciate that from all of you. Prior to coming to Hope Reigns, I spent over 20 years out in the corporate world, primarily in human resources, a lot of training and development, a lot of leadership development, mentoring, that kind of space. And so this talk today is going to come from a lot of that, but also a lot of what we have learned at Hope Reigns. And I want you to know that our COO, Barbara Fulkerod, really helped put this presentation together. You're going to see, those of you that know her, you're going to see a lot of her heart and soul in this presentation, and really hope that you all get something out of this. I'm going to start with a word of prayer before we really get into it. God, thank you so much, Lord, for this cool opportunity for this group to come together, Lord. I pray that my words would really be your words today, and that you would speak individually to everybody in this room today. I pray that they would hear what you need them to hear today, that they would take away what you need them to take away. God, and I pray that this time would be your time as we connect with one another and connect with you as well. God, it's in your holy and precious name that we pray these things today. Amen. All right, who's ever felt burnt out at some point in time? Raise your hand. Good, you're in good company. Hey, you're not alone. Let's start with that, okay? This is one of the reasons I love the EC conferences. We get to learn that we are not alone as a group here. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how we can get out of that, right? I've been in that stage too. It's not fun. It's really not fun. But if we can surround ourselves with the right people, we get an opportunity to have that burden of being burnt out just kind of slide off of our shoulders. Yeah, those of you sitting down in the chairs over here, there are these like little lap desks over here if you want a lap desk to be able to take notes on versus doing the old knee thing, right? Whatever works for you. So again, in that spirit of community at the EC conference, guess what? We're going to do a really quick get to know you as we get to know each other here. And my thing is not working. All right, there we go. Okay. So those of you that are in a ministry today that is open, would you stand up? Like you're open, you're serving clients, right? Okay. Oh my goodness, it's like all of you. All right, you all sit down. If you're not open today, would you stand up? Okay, we got a couple of you. All right. So those of you, I appreciate you, okay? Those of you that just stood up that are not open, when we get to this partner pairing that we're about to do, please find somebody that's open. Don't find each other, okay? All right? And then those of you that are open, I'm going to ask you, when I say go, I want everybody to find a partner. Get up, literally get up out of your chairs and go find somebody. You cannot pick somebody at your table, okay? We're going to get up, we're going to get the body energy moving, we're going to get around a little bit. Hold on, when I say go, right? Once you get to that partner, try to find somebody you don't know very well, okay? No, you cannot pick somebody within your own ministry. And yes, Hope Reigns people, we are participating as well, okay? All right, so find somebody you don't know really well. When you get there, I just want you to introduce yourselves to one another. I want you to tell a little bit about your name, maybe where you're from, the ministry name. What is the purpose of your ministry? I know we're all similar ministries, but sometimes we got a little bit different way of being a similar ministry. We'd love to hear your purpose, okay? If you're open with your partner, I want you to share a really cool victory story that's happened in the last few months, let's say, okay? And those of you that are not open, really want you to share with your partner what's a really cool way that you've seen God be faithful to you as you're maybe dreaming of a ministry like this or building a ministry like this, whatever it may be, okay? Once I say go, you're going to have 2 minutes. So you got to find a partner quick, got to introduce quick, and that's right, these stories are 30 seconds. They're not 3 minutes, okay? Don't misread the slide. What questions do you have before I say go? Ready? Don't worry about it. If you're open, you're going to share a 30-second story about being open and a victory story with your open partner. That's okay. Not open, you're going to share this, right? On your marks, get set, go. You got 2 minutes, okay? Find somebody you don't know. Get to know somebody. Get up. Move around. Come on now.
Do we have to write it down?
No. Nope.
I got a not open.
Don't have a partner yet? Well, hi.
Partner.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, I'm Kathy.
Kathy, nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
And you are with what ministry?
So how it started was I have a nonprofit draft horse sanctuary where I rescue senior draft horses. It evolved into there is a Christian recovery men's housing down the street, and got involved with them. And the men come to the sanctuary, and
Excellent.
we do.
Here, hold on. I'm going to pair you up. Come on in. You're going to meet a new person, and you're going to do this right here. Are you here for the burnout? Work smart with the right people talk?
Yes.
Yes, you are in the right place.
not
Welcome.
burnout yet.
Okay, great. That's good. That's good.
Not you.
All right, so I'm going to let you two introduce yourselves using this slide right here. You have 1 minute left. You have 1 minute left. Time goes quickly.
No, I just want to serve the Lord, and I want people to heal. And I want people to experience the power of the Lord.
So real quick, just gotta.
Okay. What? Okay. What's the name of the for an approach?
And Debbie, here's some way for you to take notes if you want to while we go along. All right, your time is up. Come on back to your seats. 2 minutes goes quickly, doesn't it? Come on back to your seats. Bring it back in. Come on back to your seats. Woo! Hey, who felt the energy go up in here a little bit? All right, yeah, got us talking a little bit. I would love one of you who is in the open section. Would you share the story you shared with your partner? Would you be willing to share it with our whole group? Who would be willing to do that? Raise your hand. I'm looking for a volunteer. I don't want to volunteer. Excellent. Back in the back. What's your name, sir?
I'm about Christian Resurrection Ministry, and we're open, but we're very small. Jackie is, and my wife, full disclosure here, we started out on a wing and prayer, and we didn't know where we were going to meet through this little news site in Stuart's Draft. A family in Richardsville offered us the use of their farm. So our God story is that our farm began with someone just offering us a place to be. It was a limited amount that we could do there in a limited time, but God has grown the ministry there. And so, of course, now the new challenge is God is having us look for a bigger place.
Of course. Awesome. Great victory story. Thank you, Bob. Let's give him a round of applause. Excellent. Appreciate that. And Bob, by the way, for being the very first guy that volunteered in front of the entire group. We got a copy of our book, Joey, for you. Okay? There you go. Who here has read Joey? Raise your hands. I know there's some of you. That's right. Absolutely, right? Joey is a story of the starting of Hope Reigns, how we brought a blind horse to our ranch and how he helped us see a lot of things more clearly. And so it's a really cool opportunity. If you've never read the book Joey, take an opportunity to read it. If you've never read the book Hope Rising from Crystal Peaks, same thing. Just get your tissues out, right? There we go. Stephanie's got some copies right there. Excellent. Appreciate that. All right. Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to continue that energy today. The reason I got you talking to each other is because we're going to talk to each other this whole time, okay? I like a lot of interactivity in my presentations, and so that's really what we're going to be doing today. So as we start to talk about how to avoid burnout and how to work smart with the right people, it really comes back to your why, your what, and your how. It really comes back to defining these three things. And the way that we look at the word why is really your vision statement, okay? It's the why behind what you're doing. It's that really big problem that your organization's trying to solve that your one organization probably will never solve all by itself, right? A vision statement is usually very inspirational. It's this clicker in my computer not getting along today, right? Very inspirational. It's very motivational. It provides direction for your whole organization, okay? Now, here is the Hope Reigns vision statement: to inspire true hope and real healing for every child. That last phrase, for every child, suggests our one little ministry in Raleigh, North Carolina is not going to be able to get to every child, except that God has a plan to get to every child. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we go along today. Kim mentioned it in her opening speech as well, right? But that's our vision. What's not in our vision? Anybody want to take a guess? What's not in that vision statement?
Adults.
Say it again.
Adults.
Adults, okay, yep. More generically. What's not in the vision statement?
Horses.
Okay? Yeah, what we do. This is all about why we exist. This doesn't tell you what we're actually doing on a day-to-day basis at the Hope Reigns Ranch. Vision is very big. It's very high level. Again, it's around the purpose and around the why. And as you truly hone in and define the why of your organization, you're going to be able to start finding people who are connected in such a deep way with your why that you're going to start surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, why is the why so important? All right, if this video loads and it works really well, this is going to be great. If it doesn't, it's tied to my phone Wi-Fi. We're going to see what happens. As I introduce it, I'm hoping it's going to come up here in a moment. If it doesn't, I'll tell you what happened. Anybody ever hear of a comedian named Michael Jr.? Yes, okay, right? He is also a motivational speaker and sold out for Christ, okay? Guy is absolutely amazing. And what he does during his comedy shows is he'll have a show and then he'll take a little break and just talk with his audience. And you're going to hear him, hopefully in a moment, talk about this if this pops up. I'm just going to explain it, assuming it's not going to come up, because I tried yesterday, it worked, but today, well, I guess with the storms, it's not working, right? And so he just takes a minute in the middle of his comedy shows to talk to his audience and just have some real conversations. And so he's at this one place they're in at somewhere in North Carolina, and he stops and he starts asking this guy in one of the front rows, hey, what do you do? And the guy says, well, I'm a music pastor or a music teacher. And he says, oh, so you can sing, huh? The guy's like, yeah, maybe. He's like, okay, give me a few bars of Amazing Grace. And so this man begins to sing, and y'all, deep, baritone, amazing voice this man has. It's incredible. And you listen and you're like, I'm just soaking in the amazing grace of God. And then what Michael Jr. says to him, he says, okay, that was great. I love that. Now, give me the version where your uncle just got out of prison, you just got shot in the back, and everything's going wrong. Then he had the guy do it again. And y'all, the difference between the first one and the second one had the entire audience just looking around, amazed, guys running up and hugging him after he was done. What was the difference? Passion. He knew his why. The first time Michael asked him to sing, he knew what he was singing. Amazing Grace. If I asked all of you to sing Amazing Grace, we could all try in our best or worst singing voices to do Amazing Grace. But then if you add your why to why are you singing Amazing Grace? Maybe I'm singing Amazing Grace because I just got saved. Maybe I'm singing Amazing Grace because I just got brought through an incredibly difficult circumstance. Those versions of Amazing Grace are going to be different because your why makes an impact on what you're doing. Knowing your why is going to be part of what's going to help you avoid burnout. Knowing your why and expressing that to others clearly over and over and over is going to help them connect and want to step up and help you in amazing ways. When people hear your why and they connect to that, they start to really want to be deeply committed to what you're doing. Okay? And again, that why comes back to being motivational, and now my slides won't even move forward. Hang on one moment. No, that's him, but it won't play the video. That's okay. We're just going to come back. That was the guy singing, by the way, okay, that you saw a picture of. But again, it comes back to being very motivational, very inspirational, providing direction for people so that people know what they're doing and where they're going, okay? Who in your organization should know your vision? Everybody. Thank you. That is the right answer. Everyone. You heard Kim say it earlier today. You can come ask any one of our staff at any point in time to recite our vision statement and we'll all be able to give it to you. Why? Because Kim does an amazing job communicating it to us. Barb Fulkrot, our COO, does an amazing job communicating it to us. Our directors do an amazing job communicating it to us. And we in turn communicate it to our volunteers. We know our vision, which then starts to be able to help us with our what. Okay? Oh, wait, I want to go back to the why for just a minute. Stop taking your notes on your what. So let's go back here. Who in here can tell us, who would be willing to tell us your vision for your ministry? What is your vision statement for your ministry? We have a lot of ministries that are open in here. Lee, would love to hear yours.
Partner with us to change the world one person at a time.
Partner with us to change the world one person at a time. Love it. Does that sound inspirational? Does to me. Does it sound motivational? Provide some direction? Yeah. Still don't know what exactly the Spurring Up Hope team does. Okay? But I know their vision. Awesome. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you sharing that. One other volunteer. Who's got a vision statement? David.
Spurring children and their families to find their identity in Christ.
Spurring children and their families to find their identity in Christ.
Added the and families after we saw the brokenness in kids as a result of
That's awesome.
what's going on at home in most cases.
Yeah, they added families later as they wanted to, I'm assuming, wrap their support around the whole family. Because if you have a child in crisis, guess who else is in crisis? The rest of the family to some degree, right? Absolutely. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Okay? Knowing your why matters. Once you have your why, then you can really start to define your what. And your what is your mission statement. You need to know what you're actually going to do every day to go achieve your why. And again, if you know your what, you can get really clear on what's important every day. I want you to think about your day as a bucket of time, okay? In your bucket of time, a lot of times you have really big things that need to get done, right? I'm going to call them big rocks, okay? Maybe it's spend time with family. Maybe it's church. Maybe it's I've got this project at work that I've got to put a lot of time into. Whatever it is, big things, right? Then there's a lot of little rocks that come along. Emails, phone calls, people showing up at your door, right? Something goes around, the fridge goes out at the house, right? There's these little rocks that come in. If you're filling your bucket of time for a whole day, which of those should you fill your bucket with first? Which ones? Big rocks. Why?
Because if you put in all the little ones first, there's no room.
Such a great answer. If you put all the little ones in first, you can't get all the big ones in on top. They literally won't fit. But if you put the big ones in first and focus on what is most important, okay, then the little rocks can get filled in all around. Sometimes it'll all be okay and you've got a level bucket. Sometimes some of those little ones spill out and you don't have enough time for them. But guess what? They weren't as important as the ones that made it in. Knowing your what helps you with that, right? Having a mission statement for your organization is going to help you with that. And a great mission statement is going to, come on, clicker, you can do this. There we go. It's going to be clear. It's going to be concise. It's going to be 25 words or less for a mission statement for your organization, okay? And it should reflect, you should see that purpose in there. You should see a little bit of that vision statement even in your mission. It's going to reflect what you're doing, right? And generally a style would be something like, we blank, 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 so that blank, okay? Let me give you an example of that. Here is the Hope Reigns vision statement. All right, I'm just going to go to the buttons now because it's going to be easier. We pair kids in crisis with rescued horses and mentors to find hope and healing. So again, we blank, 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 so that blank, okay? Really easy. And this is 15 words. This tells you what we're doing every day at Hope Reigns. This tells our volunteers what we're doing every day at Hope Reigns. This tells our donors what we're doing every day at Hope Reigns. It continues to remind our staff where our focus is. What are we doing every day? Even our operations team, who's responsible for taking care of the property and the horses and all the things, can look at this and go, we're preparing this place so that we can pair kids in crisis with rescued horses and mentors to find hope and healing. Keeping that mission clear is so important, right? Kim mentioned the phrase mission creep in her talk earlier today. What is mission creep? Who can define mission creep for us? Give me a volunteer. How would you define mission creep?
Being a yes man.
Being a yes man. Ooh, okay, good. I like it, Evan. Who else? How else would you define mission creep?
You add so much that your mission is like diluted.
Ah.
You no longer have a clear track forward. Yeah. It's everything.
Yeah.
Or it's nothing.
You add so much that your true mission is diluted. Right? Really good. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah. Mission creep is that we said we're going to do this, but all of a sudden this kind of looks good, and this kind of looks good, and we should do this, and now all of a sudden we're so far away from our purpose, we're forgetting what we're really supposed to be doing. This provides clarity. Again, we have a great example where we set this up to be kids. We had an opportunity to start serving veterans. We went back to our mission and said, no, we're not going to serve veterans, but you know what? We will serve the kids of those veterans, right? Because those kids may be in crisis because of what their parent has been through as a veteran of this country. That mission enabled us to get really clear and really concise with what we're doing, okay? Who here will be willing to share the mission statement for their organization? Who can do it? Hold on. Who can do it without looking it up? Because I saw a couple of you start to reach for your phone. Like, I can look that up and tell you. Anybody? All right, right here. And say your name again.
Yeah,
Carissa.
Nice.
Yeah. Freedom Reigns Ranch in Middle Tennessee.
Carissa with Freedom Reigns Ranch in Middle Tennessee. Okay.
And our mission is igniting hope with the help of a horse by providing mentorship for kids and young adults who've been through trauma.
Wow. Okay. Igniting hope. Say it again. Slow.
Igniting hope with the help of a horse.
With the help of a horse.
By providing mentorship for kids and young adults who've been through trauma.
By providing mentorship for kids and young adults who have been through trauma. There you go. Everybody feel like that was pretty clear? Yeah, absolutely. Excellent, right? It's concise. I think that was 25 words or less. I'm not counting in my brain, but it felt like it was right there. That's fine, right? Absolutely. Appreciate that. And it reflects their purpose. Keeping clear on your mission as a leader is going to help you avoid burnout. Making sure that the people you start to bring around you are clear on your mission is going to help them provide the right help to help you avoid burnout. Okay? Work smart with the right people. Now we're going to talk about that phrase, the right people, here shortly to make sure. But the final piece of this is your how. And this, I'm going to tell you, is probably the biggest piece to finding the right people for your organization is your how. Your how are your core values. Now, this tells people how you're going to get things done in your ministry. It's not about why you do it. It's not about what you do. It's how you expect them to show up and behave every single day, right? They're principles that are going to guide your team's actions. They're going to guide their behaviors, okay? It's really, core values become the foundation of your organization's culture. What do you want your organization to be known as? How do you want your people to be seen when people arrive at your ranch or at your farm, right? How do you want that to be displayed? What are those important values to you, particularly those of you that are the founder or the executive director? What are those values that are important to you that you want displayed in everybody associated with your ministry? Staff, volunteers, whoever shows up at the ranch, right? They should be really simple, right? Good rule of thumb is you should have somewhere between 3 and 7 core values. At Hope Reigns, we settled on 5 core values. These are our 5. You heard Kim mention a couple of these earlier today. Number 1 core value is that Jesus heals. We start there. It's not the mentors, it's not the horses, it's not the stat, it's Jesus. We are a bridge and we are a conduit. And if we truly and passionately believe that Jesus heals and that Jesus is behind everything, then every interaction we have with everybody can be filled with a lot of grace. Because we all know we're not perfect. He is, we're not. But we can now have a lot of grace for one another as we try to believe that, guess what? Jesus is healing all of us. Not just the kids that are showing up to our ranch, right? And if we have a lot of grace for one another, then we can truly just be authentic with one another. We can have hard conversations when difficult things arise in healthy ways with a lot of grace. We can also be authentic and tell people they're amazing when they do something amazing. Then we get to share our story. And we get to tell sort of where we really are and what's going on, maybe why we're here, why we keep coming back every day. We get to share our story of what's happening in our role or in our lives. And by doing that, we get to make it better. Those are our 5 core values. And again, I'm going to ask you, if you have core values for your organization, who should know your core values at your organization? Everybody. Okay? Everybody. And if they don't, then as a leader, we need to make sure that we are imparting those core values over and over and over and over again. It's so important. And we're going to get to that when we get to communication here in a minute, when we talk about how to communicate these things and how to communicate with the people that we are bringing around us. So once you have that why, your what, and your how truly embedded, then you get a chance to go find some people. Okay? Now, yeah, I see you all laughing at this picture. Who has ever felt like this person at the desk right here? Raise your hand. All right, explain what that feels like. What are some words you would put to this person or yourself when you were in this position? What are some words to describe that? Burnt out. Okay, great. Overwhelmed. Excellent. So, I'm sorry, I heard something over here for empty. Okay? Over it. I'm just over it. Yes. Say alone, did you say? Alone. Good. Frustrated. Defeated. Whoo! Some heavy words, y'all. That's because that's a heavy feeling right there. Right? So here's what I want to tell you right up front. You've heard Hope Reigns say this for a number of years, and we're just going to keep saying it. You can't do this alone. A lot of times, whoops, I went the wrong way on the slide. Come back here. There we go. You can't do this alone. A lot of times, we feel like that because we're trying to do this and get our arms around everything. Right? We have a hard time saying no, okay? You know what? No is in the Bible, and it's okay for us to use the word no as we find and realize that we need help. We can't do this alone. We need to surround ourselves with people. Now, one of the reasons you can't do this alone is each one of you You were knitted in your mother's womb, as it says in the Bible. And when God did that, He gifted each one of you uniquely. You have an amazing strength and gift for the world to be able to use. And guess what? That one strength, maybe it's two, but there's definitely one in there, is not enough to run an entire ministry. And yet, so often, when we get into ministry work, we feel like we've got to run it all. We've got to do it all. We've got to be there and be everything for everybody, right? Be seen as the one who's just getting it all done, whatever the case may be. What you've got to learn is that there are people with all kinds of unique abilities. We got to go seek those people out and put them on our team so that once we diversify those unique abilities and put them together, now we've got a team that can change the world. Right? Give you a great example, right? I'll start with Kim. Kim is a big vision, big strategy. Like she said earlier today, 10 years down from now, right? She can see the future and is so good at it. Thank the Lord she has her right-hand woman in Barb Folkrod, who is very much operationalizing those big ideas, taking things and moving it to the day-to-day, right? So that we can actually run the ranch on a day-to-day basis. Right? What Kim and Barb realized early on is they both had a unique ability. And instead of doing this with their unique abilities and constantly fighting and arguing, they did this and brought their unique abilities together. They leveraged each other's strengths to build Hope Reigns in those early days. And then what they did is they started to define some other roles that needed to come along them who had some other unique abilities. And that's where we get to this concept called seats on the bus. Who in here has ever thought of yourself as a bus driver, or whoever actually did a bus driving role? Anybody? Okay. Did you actually do a bus driving role? Nice, David. Okay.
Still doing it.
Okay.
We just got donated a bus.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Okay. Right? All right, so I'm going to tell you, if you're a leader in your organization in any capacity of some sort here, you are a bus driver to some extent. Now, who in here right now is either a founder or an executive director? Raise your hands, okay? You are the chief bus driver of your organization. And what do I mean by that? We're going to draw an analogy here. I want you to literally just kind of, in your minds, picture a bus, and you as the driver, you're going to get on the bus. Now, you're sitting in your driver's seat. What's behind you on the bus? Seats. Okay, empty seats. I love that. Okay, great. Just like in your organization, there are roles underneath a leader or as a part of the organization. Think of each one of those roles as a seat. Now, in our bus, right, we want people to sit in the seats. But how do we know we're going to get the right people into the seats? What do we have to do with the seats first? Say it again. Define the seats. Yes. We've got to get really clear on what do we want each seat to do. And what are the skill sets that are needed for that seat? What's the unique ability that's needed for that seat? Sometimes you define a seat based on, some mistakes you make, right? We defined a seat really early on based on some mistakes we made, right? There was a day where Barb and Kim used to check in with each other almost every day at the end of the day on what's going on, what's happening with the ministry, right? And, I can't remember who called who, but they're like, oh, yeah, I fed the horses today. Oh, I fed the horses too. Horses were extremely happy that day, right? They got a double portion, okay? Literally, not more than, a couple days, couple weeks later, same phone call, opposite way. Yeah, did you feed the horses? No. Didn't you feed it? No. Oh. Horses not happy that day, okay? I don't know, did somebody end up having to go back and feed the horses that night? I don't even remember what happened, right? And so all of a sudden they're realizing, you know what? We need a feeding scheduler. We need to make sure somebody takes this from us and we always are feeding our horses. And what Kim and Barb started to do then was to define the seats on the bus. And that's where I'm going to challenge all of you. You need to start defining the seats on the bus. Where is it that you're being pulled in a direction that doesn't feel like your unique ability? You're getting pulled in that direction where you're getting burnt out because you're doing this set of things over and over and over again, and you realize somebody else should be doing this. And you can define that seat as a volunteer seat, or if you have paid staff, as a paid staff seat. You can define it as a volunteer leader. For a long time at Hope Reigns, we had a volunteer leadership team. Many of you probably still existing under a volunteer leadership team, okay? But defining those seats clearly. For us, it was things like feeding scheduler. It was barn chores host. Trying to think, it was bookkeeper, right? Kim and Barb were not not finance people, not built out of that finance world. Go find somebody who is, right? Defining those seats to come alongside you and help you is going to help ease that burden off of your shoulders, okay? And it's really important to find the right people. How do you know if you've got the right people? That's really what you're sitting in here today, hoping you're going to hear this amazing tidbit of like, how do I recruit the right people? Well, you recruit them by communicating to them, okay? And communicating can mean everything from the very first meeting you have with somebody, right? I still remember my very first meeting with Kim over 2 years ago now, right? Which started a series of conversations for the two of us over a year before I ever came on staff at Hope Reigns, right? I remember how well she communicated things like the vision, the mission, and the core values of Hope Reigns. As we walked around the ranch that first time, I could see those core values. She had our development director at the time with us, Shantae. I could see those core values in Shantae. We ran into a mentor, it was one of the volunteers working with the horses. I could see the core values in that person. You know why Hope Reigns has a lot of the right people? Because we go looking for people who embody our core values first. We want to find people who truly believe Jesus heals, who truly believe in grace as our default, who are ready and willing to be authentic, who are ready to share their story, and who are ready to then make it better. When you start with those core values, and then you connect in why you're doing what you're doing and what you're doing, you're going to find people that are so deeply rooted and connected to your organization that they are going to be willing to help in any way they can. Again, whether volunteer or paid won't matter. Finding the right people is about communicating these things as often as you can. So we're 14 or 15 years into this as Hope Reigns, and guess what? Every month we have a monthly staff meeting at Hope Reigns. Everybody gets on Zoom. It's a 1-hour meeting. For the first 25 to 30 minutes, we spend going over our mission, our vision, and our core values. And then we spend some time acknowledging those core values in one another, right? Ashley, you exhibited Jesus Heals by presenting these amazing devotionals at our Monday night sessions, right? That is how you acknowledge core values in one another. We spend time doing that. Why? Because it reinforces the core values. And then what happens after we're finished with that is Kim gets the next 10 minutes. And she is basically telling us about what's coming. She's reinforcing the vision. She's reinforcing our mission. So by the time that first 25 to 30 minutes of our meeting is done, look, that's half our meeting. We have all been reminded about why we're here, what we're doing, and how we're supposed to do it. And again, you're going to find the right people when you start finding people that line up with all three of those things. And you're going to find that they're willing to take tasks from you, and they're willing to help you get into a bucket or into a seat that you've now defined. Okay? I'm also going to tell you another reason defining the seats is so important. Anybody ever had a seat, somebody sitting in the seat, and then somebody comes and tries to sit on top of them? Okay? Not metaphorically, right? If all of a sudden I try to jump in and do Ashley's job on Monday nights as the team leader, then maybe the seats aren't clear enough, or maybe the communication to us about who owns that seat wasn't clear enough. Got to continue to be clear about who owns what in each seat. We had a great example of this on our leadership team earlier this week. We had a staff meeting earlier this week. We had an item come up. We're like, who should own this item? because it's coming off of the plate of a volunteer who's going to step away from the ministry. And we had to figure out who on our leadership team was going to own that because it seemed like it should be something on our team. So guess what we did to figure out who owned it? We literally pulled up what we call our accountability chart. It's just a list of the job descriptions and the major accountabilities for each person on our team. And we were able to look at, those are the seats on the bus. We just looked at the seats and went, oh, looks like it fits right there with Martha. Martha, you should own that. Take that. Martha said, got it. Yeah, I agree. Having clarity on those seats can really, again, help with that burden of burnout. Yes, sir, in the back.
Person that's gifted on the vision, then moving to find another 5 years or other direction, and then the implementation where they take that. How does that look on a practical?
Sure. I think it's a combination of both, right? So the question that he asked, and I'm repeating just by the way for the camera's sake, okay? So his question is, does the vision team do all the idea generation, and then is there a whole separate sort of implementation team that takes and implements those ideas? Did I get the gist of your question right? Right? So both. So yes, does Kim have a lot of vision and she's like, next thing, next thing, next thing? Yes. And then guess what? She's also sitting in the trenches with us right now as we build this training program that you're going to hear me mention here in a minute. Because she's got a lot of vision for it. She wants to make sure as we're building and implementing it that a lot of that vision is captured in what we're building. And then eventually Barb will take it and run it, right? Or really I will as the director of Headquarters for Hope. So there's an intertwining, but there's also leveraging strengths to make sure people are doing what they're most uniquely gifted to do. Does that help answer your question? Excellent. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And all in an effort, it's a great sort of segue, thank you very much, right? All in an effort to help your team avoid consequences of poor communication. All right, raise your hands again. Who in here has ever seen an example of poor communication? Raise your hand. Yes, that would be every hand in the room. If you didn't put up, we need to have another, you didn't put your hand up, we need to have another conversation, okay? All right, yes, poor communication. What are some consequences that y'all have seen of poor communication? What has happened because of bad communication? Frustration, Robin says. Great. Turnover.
Horses get the wrong feed.
Horses get the wrong food, right? They either get too much or too little. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Accidents. Great. Yep. Any others? Any other consequences of poor communication y'all have seen? Resentment. Oh, that is a deep one. I like it. Absolutely.
Misinterpretation, too.
Yep, misinterpretation.
How can somebody see that in their organization? That's not it at all, but that's how they interpret it.
Right. It's almost that whisper down the lane, right? Because one person said it, then another person rephrased to now I totally misunderstood what the first person said. Yep. Right? What did you say, Jackie?
No, that's just telephone.
Yeah, the old telephone game, right? Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, look, there are a lot of really some bad consequences of poor communication. Re-strengthening how you communicate as a leader is going to be really important. Going back to your why, your what, and your how over and over and over again is going to help feed that line of communication so that every time someone shows up at your ranch, they know why they're showing up, they know what they're supposed to do, whether the mission statement of the organization or their bucket as defined on your seats on the bus, right? Okay? They're going to know how they're supposed to do it because you're reinforcing those core values, okay? You know, Hope Reigns, we reward, and the other side of that, I'm trying to think of the other word, right? I don't want to say fire, right? But there are consequences for not exhibiting those core values, those beliefs, those behaviors, right? It's really important to us, okay?
Something I was told many years ago, any organization is only as strong as its leader. Leaders.
Amen. I agree. Any organization is only as strong as its leadership, right? We learned this morning, what are the top 2 reasons that nonprofits fail? What do y'all remember from this morning's talk? What are they? Say it again. Close. Not quite. Close.
Lack of a plan.
Lack of planning and lack of leadership, right? Now, communication comes to the leadership piece, right? So it's absolutely connected in there, right? Again, all pointing back to, y'all are leaders in your ministry. Whether you're a volunteer, whether you actually have direct reports you're responsible for, or you're the founder or executive director, you're all leaders in your organization. And communicating really well is going to help keep people from feeling burnt out. It's going to help you continue to avoid those burnout stages. So we have covered a lot of ground here, right? We've really reinforced our why, our what, and our how. I want you to probably take away, one of the biggest things you could take away here is you can't do this alone. You can't. You're going to want to try. You're going to want to think you can. God has uniquely gifted you in one thing. Leverage that one thing and then find other people who have other strengths in other areas and leverage those strengths. How do you do that? Define the seats on the bus, right? And start communicating those seats on the bus. Start communicating your why, your what, your how. Start talking to people, making sure that they're deeply connected to why you're doing what you're doing, what you're doing, and how they're supposed to do it. Those are the big things to be able to think about as you come away from this today. So on the last page of your notes, there's a couple questions there. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to take 2 to 3 minutes to just process through what we've taught and write down a few of your first thoughts. It may not be perfect thoughts. Some of you are information processors and you need longer than what I'm giving you to do. Just put your first thoughts down. Those of you that are speedy process, you're going to have the perfect answer on paper. Great. Whatever your answer is, go ahead and put your answer on paper right now. Take a few minutes right here.
Another thing I do is just walking with my hands upstairs, another one I'm working. Your bubbles are popping too. So the first verse I read today had that phrase about he who began good work in you will bring it to completion. A student of mine, a computer, is writing that book.
I figured. Take about another minute, finish up. And if you're still writing, keep writing. Totally fine. Would somebody be willing to volunteer and share their answer to the first question? What were some of your key takeaways? I believe in learning from each other a lot, right? And so maybe you're about to hear something. You're like, oh, I want to make sure I take that away. Add it to your paper if you like what you hear. Somebody willing to volunteer and share their answer to the first question. Right up here. And remind me of your name?
Barry.
Barry.
Because I am brand new, I'm going to take the time to carefully and thoughtfully identify my why, what, and how.
Excellent. I love it. Thank you so much, Barry. All right, for being the first one to answer the first question. I've got, pardon me, as I cut through, a copy of the Joey book for you. All right, somebody else want to answer the first question for us? Yes, in the back.
Adding so much to a mission that makes you lose sight of what your original mission was.
Ooh, good. Okay. Sometimes we write a mission statement that's like 5 sentences long, and we lose what God's original specific mission was. That's so good. Remind me of your name? Mackenzie. Thank you, Mackenzie. That was fantastic. Good. All right, up front, Debbie.
I think I need to not get so bogged down on the daily tasks that I have and carve out time to do all this. That's my problem. I always want to finish everything I feel like I have to finish for the day, but I probably don't have to finish it that day.
Sure.
So I need to carve out time to define my seats on the bus.
Oh, excellent. I love it. So carve out time to define the seats on the bus versus getting caught up in all the daily tasks that have to get done.
Caught up anyway.
Right?
So
Right. Right?
tomorrow.
Again, think about the big rocks. Some of you may have just went, oh my goodness, this is a big rock I need to make sure I take care of. Well, guess what? Put it on your calendar. Actually block the time to do this stuff. Okay? That's one great suggestion I can give you. Right? Sometimes I look at Kim's calendar to try to book a meeting and I see block, because she's working on stuff. That vision stuff takes time. Right? She makes sure that she blocks time to do that. I love that. Okay? Then let the little rocks fall in. All right, Jackie.
I have another bus theory, or bus vision, or whatever.
Okay, another bus vision.
The bus has a different view.
Ooh.
Inside and out. And
Interesting.
So that's where sometimes we get friction. Because our volunteers are seeing it from a different view.
Yeah.
And so that Grace and Mercy can cover that, but it can also give me more insight to be able to be open to somebody else's suggestion.
Yeah, love that.
Even if they're brand new, because sometimes God brings in the brand new to give us refreshment.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
Well, we've always done it this way.
Yep, great. Everybody on the bus has a different view. I love that. And I think thinking about that and then recognizing I want to respect everybody's view because their perspective may help us get to where we want to get to in a different way, new, better, different, whatever it may be, right? And bringing and embracing those views. I think that's great. Thank you, Jackie. All right, one volunteer to share their answer to the second question on our notes here about, as a result of this session, what 1 to 2 tactical steps are you going to take regarding building a team? Back here, Catherine.
So I was reminded just being here today about what I need to do in getting back plugged in and being still. And when I first heard the calling for my ministry, I knew it was going to involve sparrows something. And then there's a long background story, but I had a foster kid that used to sing his eyes on the sparrow. And I knew and I love the scripture about how God sees the sparrow and the lyrics to that song. And music is an important part of my ministry also. And then we were talking about it with some friends and somebody brought up a scripture in Exodus. And that was where I was at the time. It's like, I can't do this alone. And that's what Moses says to God. I can't do this alone. And God says, I will send you my presence.
Amen.
It will give you rest.
Yeah.
And it was like, click, there's the name of my ministry, Sparrow's Rest.
Oh, cool.
And, I also related to the story about Martha and Mary and how we can be too busy being the Marthas. That sometimes we just need to sit at his feet and rest.
Yeah.
And hear what God is telling us to do.
That's great.
That's where I needed to be reminded this weekend that I've been too busy being Martha to everybody, not ministering to myself and what God is doing.
Thank you so much. All right, so for being the first to answer the second question on here, got a copy of our book, Joey, for you as well. Thank you. So just to really quick summarize what she was said is, the tactical step is I need to make sure I'm finding that time with the Lord to just rest, to really plug into what He wants me to do. And I love that. Awesome. As you mix about with people in your organization, I would love for you to share your answers with them throughout the rest of this weekend, right? And what we've been alluding to here is that we are building a training program at Hope Reigns to help folks just like you start faith-based equine mentorship organizations or continue building faith-based equine mentorship. Or maybe you're open and you just need some extra training and help and support. We're here for that as well. And so if you want to know more about that training coming up, we've got some brochures up here. They're in my bag. I've got to get them out of my bag. I'll have them up here. Or come ask any of us. What questions do you have about anything we talked about today? Robin.
Is this time for questions?
Please, yes.
I just have a question. When you're talking about the core values, and you said the very first one was Jesus. If you have a person who wants to come and volunteer, and they're like, I'm not a Christian, but I want to mow stalls. Will you pull them on as a volunteer?
So yes, so we have volunteer roles for non-believers at Hope Reigns. We also have roles where you have to sign a statement of faith to be a volunteer in that role. Particularly if you're going to be in or around our kids and in our programs, you've got to sign a statement of faith. But yes, we have definitely had non-Christians come in and be part of our equine care team. Mm-hmm.
But they know the core values.
Absolutely.
They can communicate the core values.
Yep. Because our job is to go out and make disciples, right? And so people that are coming through our gates have been of every faith, whether volunteers or clients. Our job is still to bring Christ to them when they come on our place. And yeah, what's amazing is what you find is what they shun on the outside, they sometimes accept or start asking questions about on the inside of our gates. So we're willing. Yep, absolutely.
About that question, I had a
Quick.
15-year-old boy, unsaved family, mom's work, single mother, saw her son starting to make bad choices, asked me if he could come and work for me. I knew exactly why she was asking. I prayed a lot about it. I let him come, and I had him weed whacking and doing different things this summer. No less than 5 times I watched that young man go to Bible lessons during the summer camp programs and stand there and listen to the plan of salvation. I didn't tell him that was a requirement. He had to go over, and he'd walk over, and I'd see him put the weed whacker down, and he'd look at me like, "Is this okay?" And I'd say, "Yeah, you're okay." And he'd go, and he kept hearing the gospel road because he was there.
Yeah, love it. Thank you for sharing that, David. Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming today. You got questions, come up and ask. You got about 9 minutes to get to your next session wherever you're going. So you're welcome. Thank you.